All right, everybody, I am back with a brand new DC update. And yes, as you can tell by the title, I was wrong. And yes, it's on a couple of things. Now, first of all, I will always correct myself if I get it wrong. And in the last video, I mistakenly said when I was talking about Superman's costume, I mistakenly said Man of Steel. And it wasn't Man of Steel I was talking about. It was definitely Superman. I think Superman's outfit, all the costumes for that movie were cheap and ugly. I did not like them at all. And so I think they are the worst superhero costumes we've seen in any superhero film in probably the last 30 years. And so I was definitely talking about Superman and not Man of Steel. So I made a mistake on that. Also on Twitter, we had Everything DCU posted something about a quote from, he actually quoted James Gunn saying that he was deep at work, and I'm going to show this in a still today, deep at work on editing. They were editing Supergirl and Green Lantern. And I said, James Gunn didn't even know the name of his own show that his studio is producing. And people jumped all over me saying that's being a little nitpicky. And no, it's not. I will show every disrespect that James Gunn does for things that aren't his. But here's the thing. Everything DCU quoted him wrong. He did not say Green Lantern. He actually did say lanterns. It wasn't myself that got it wrong. It was Everything DCU. And I think people who do quotes from other people, they better get it right. They better get it right, because if you don't get the quote right, you mislead people. And that's exactly what happened with that quote. So it wasn't myself that actually got it wrong. It was that individual. Now, I'm sorry I have not had an update in a while. Again, with it being Thanksgiving, it was freaking crazy. I had 3 different Thanksgivings. I had a nephew who got married, and my daughter and her husband are in town, so I have not had time to do videos. But we have plenty to go over today, including the sale of Warner Brothers, what's going on with all of that, and some possible scenarios. We definitely have a lot to cover. Zack Snyder is also posting more stuff. There's been some stuff revealed about the budget for Supergirl. There's all kinds of things to go over, so we better get started. This is the account that actually got that quote wrong, and I laughed when I saw this. It said James Gunn's Superman made its way into Oscar long list for best visual effects. Now, first of all, the long list is not good. You want to be on the short list. The long list means you have a lot of stuff you have to overcome. And the only category that it's made it for is best visual effects, which I think weren't that great. Now, this comes from Variety. And so it didn't make it for best director. It didn't make it for best writer. It didn't make it for best drama actor or actress. The only category that it's made for Oscar, and it's in a long list, is best visual effects. There is a possibility that Superman may not get anything from the Oscars. Also, there are rumors out there from extra castings that extras are being cast for a major feature film shooting in Glasgow in spring of 2026. Possibly The Batman Part 2. So you can go check that out. They are looking for extras, and everyone is assuming, no one knows for sure, but they are assuming that it is for The Batman Part 2. So Screen Rant posted that Netflix has been interested in buying Warner, which would grant them the ability to restore the Snyderverse. However, Netflix is not alone in that process. 3 studios are expected to present bids, but Paramount and Comcast don't have the same connections to Zack Snyder. And so, yes, actually, there are connections to a lot of people who were in charge at all of these studios. Every scenario could lead to the restoration of the Snyderverse. But because of all of this news coming out, there was some old news that was being circulated that we're going to look at later today in today's video. And it does point to months-old news that came out a long time ago, which is not relevant to what is happening today. But people keep sharing it. And we're going to take a look at that later in today's video. So Baku Movies posted this. He said, another proof that Ben Affleck Batman is not just the GOAT and the best live-action Batman of all time. He's the Batman with the longest screen time as the character itself. And we're going to take a look at this. So here's the shot. Best screen time by actors for Batman. Ben Affleck is number 1 with 158 minutes between Batman vs. Superman Ultimate Edition and Zack Snyder's Justice League. Plus, I would say You would have to add in Suicide Squad in there as well. You had Christian Bale come in second at 151 minutes between his 3 Dark Knight films. You had Robert Pattinson at 129 minutes in just The Batman Part 1. Michael Keaton comes in number 4 with 64 minutes between Batman and Batman Returns, and Adam West had 48 minutes in the Batman 1966 film. Now, I would say there was something that was kind of off with this. I was thinking about it the other day. Oh, yeah, Michael Keaton got more screen time with The Flash. So you have to add that in there as well as Ben Affleck for The Flash as well. So this isn't 100% complete, but regardless, at the top is going to be Ben Affleck. He's had the most screen time, and yes, I would say he is the best representation of Batman. I've been reading Batman for 30-some-odd years, and that is the version of Batman I see when I read comics. Now, this is the actual quote from James Gunn, the one that everything DCU got wrong. But James Gunn says there's no average day as co-CEO of DC Studios. The majority of days currently are spent prepping Man of Tomorrow, storyboarding and department meetings, and scouting and casting, interspersed with going over cuts of Supergirl and Lanterns, discussing marketing on all the projects, reading and making notes on new scripts, supporting the Batman 2 crew to make sure it goes smoothly, waiting for first cut of Clayface. Now, I laughed when I saw all of this because he will have a lot of below-average days once Warner Brothers gets sold, because I don't think the DCU is going to make it as far as they think it will. If Supergirl does not perform amazingly well, Clayface don't, and then Lanterns, this could be the complete end. We've got Man of Tomorrow. I do believe whatever studio gets this will release through Man of Tomorrow, but I don't believe that it will go beyond that if these projects don't do phenomenally well, which so far they've pretty much been a dud. Also, it is being reported that the Supergirl trailer will be released this week. I grabbed this at the end of last week. That will be released this week at either the Brazil or the China Comic-Cons. So we should be hearing news on this shortly. There's actually a little clip that has been posting around, X and all of that. Actually has better visual effects than anything they did in Superman. More details on the Supergirl CCXP booth. Will recreate the film's intergalactic bar and have the following: interactions with Crypto, an alien-themed popcorn machine, a speed and strength challenge, a claw machine with prizes, and the first trailer is rumored to release this week. So anyone who goes, please chime in my comments later in one of my future videos if you actually go to this. Also, this was announced, and I'm going to be passing on this. I think it's as cool as can be, but they want a lot for this. But this comes from McFarlane Toys. It says it would be today at 9 a.m. Pacific Time, 12 p.m. Eastern. Kick off the 12 Days of Christmas with a very special McFarlane Toys store exclusive. Happy holidays for Bat fans. What this is it is the Batman the Animated Series inspired. It's just the Bat computer area of the Bat Cave. It's not the whole Bat Cave. It's just the Bat computer area, as well as an exclusive Batman figure. But I think it was retailing for about $225. And that is a little more than I would like to spend on something like this. I love Batman the Animated Series, and if I was getting all the Batman animated stuff, which I stopped doing because too many came out too quickly, and I couldn't keep up and missed some, especially I really wanted the Alfred, but never got it. And so I am going to pass on this specifically because of the cost. I have a couple of their DCEU Batman stuff that is getting released here in the future that has not shown up yet for a couple of their Kickstarters. And so my money has been tied up in that stuff, and until I get it, I don't think I want to spend any more money. Now, this is the Forbes thing. Now, first of all, this got released the other day from Forbes, and this has a lot of misinformation in it. It says, according to Forbes, no matter who buys Warner Brothers, the DCU will remain. They are reporting on news that came out over a month ago before the sale even started. And the good news is Forbes doesn't get to decide this. It said any changes a buyer wanted to implement would likely fall within a narrow range, but I think the primary DCU plans will remain as is. Gunn's Superman is the most popular superhero film of 2025 with a box office result at least 40% or more higher than any of the previous 9 DCU movies from the past 8 years. It beat all 3 Marvel Studio releases this year. Superman also earned universal critical acclaim and high audience scores, as well as strong streaming numbers and home entertainment sales and rentals. The film will have generated significantly more than $100 million in profits and approaching $150 million globally when all is said and done this year. It's not a failure. It didn't underperform. It was widely beloved by mainstream audiences and most fans, and no amount of resentment or wishes or lies will change those facts. Whomever buys Warner Brothers Discovery or Warner Brothers, post-split should keep James Gunn and Peter Safran as co-CEOs of DC Studios and let them continue unimpeded in their plans for building up the DCU. All right, a lot of this, first of all, they're quoting numbers that have not been confirmed by the studio, are made-up numbers. People ran with it. There's no proof of it. There is no proof that it had $100 million in profits. No proof that it is nearing $150 million globally when all is said and done. That is a number that one analyst put out there with nothing to back it up. It is a made-up number. It was not as popular. They don't talk about overseas, and if you want something to be super popular, you have to have China involved as well. The fact is, it sold half as many tickets as Man of Steel, and it was not the juggernaut they needed it to be. Now, I laughed when I saw this, too. I did an X post about this. I said, Forbes predicted the DCU is not building up to a Justice League film. Instead, their first event film will be some form of Super Friends or a Justice Gang movie. Possible films include Super Friends versus the Legion of Doom, Justice Gang versus the Injustice Gang. This is coming from Forbes. They're just putting their guess out there. And again, they don't know. Nobody knows. And they already had a Super Friends film. Sorry, but the film that just came out was a Super Friends film. It was not a Superman film. It was a Super Friends film. Also yesterday, Zack Snyder posted this, and for anybody who has HBO Max, you have your marching orders. Zack Snyder said it's the perfect night to watch The Justice is Gray. He talked about turning down the lights, sitting back, and watching the film. And so you can bet, you can see Rock Talks and a bunch of other people, the Curly Ray, they all like this. If I still had HBO Max, I would be streaming it as well. So take it as you will. A lot of people, I saw Sil Abdul was streaming, this movie. Everybody got this from Zack Snyder. It's another one of his posts. He is definitely keeping the interest alive, and we're going to see some interesting stuff that also happened with other people who were involved with the production. So according to Comic Book Movie, Steve Trevor is one of the characters that James Gunn is casting for Man of Tomorrow. Now, this is just a rumor. There's no confirmation of this, but we will find out shortly. Also, Millie Alcock's mixed reaction being cast as Supergirl. This comes from DC Film News and also is from Forbes. I thought, what have I done? I really struggled to believe I could do it. I even called the director saying, I don't know how to be that person. I'm just me. Eventually, I realized the only way through was to trust myself. I always believe life is right on time. Things happen when they're supposed to, whether you feel ready or not. I can definitely echo those sentiments. I'm coming up on 12 months since getting hit by a car, and it's been the most rough year of my life by far, but I do know that things happen for a reason. So Larry Fong posted this, and this got people really excited. He posted some stuff about Batman vs. Superman on his timeline, and you can see Drew posted, love seeing Batman vs. Superman on the timeline. And Larry had to post, and he said, Zach's posting some past memories on Instagram, so I thought I would too. They were good times. Don't try to read too much into it. Some people were posting that he shouldn't have done this and that it doesn't mean anything. And he's trying to corroborate that a little bit. Someone said, that's disappointing, was hoping he was teasing something coming. Larry Fong's last post on that said, never say never. I'm telling you guys, there is something going on behind the scenes. You've had Ben Affleck say the same thing. There is definitely something going on behind the scenes. So some more news on the Warner Brothers Discovery sale. It says, bidders, this comes from Charles Gasparino. And again, take this as rumor. We don't know if this is 100% true. But it says, bidders on Warner Brothers Discovery say the board has really warmed to a Netflix offer. Kudos to Steve Sunshine for a lot of reasons, including the chemistry between Zaz and Sarandos, but are worried about the regulatory hurdles, as I reported today in the New York Post, including a 2-year slog through Trump DOJ antitrust, EU exams, even before this even gets to court. Other thing I picked up is that the value of Warner Brothers Discovery cable properties, i.e. CNN, are considered primary DI minimis in the context of the entire transaction. So yes, it is being reported out there that Trump really wants Paramount to get this, and he will do whatever it takes to make that happen. And so it is a long shot that Netflix will get it, but a lot of people are understanding that that might be the best spot for Warner Brothers Discovery. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Anybody that tells you they have a definitive line into what is happening or is going to happen, nobody knows and nobody will know. But I do know that today is December 1st, and Zaslav said by December 1st he wanted to really narrow in who he really wanted to have some specific conversations with. So we should find out sometime this week. There should be a lot of DC news coming out, and I will be covering it this week. So stick to my channel if you want to stay informed. Also, everything DCU posted, Daniel RPK says he heard that Supergirl is very good. Again, there's no confirmation on this. This is one person saying he heard, but has no direct confirmation. Nobody knows for sure. They're also talking about the budget, which we're going to look at here in a second. So here it is. Somebody posted that Forbes says Supergirl has a $200 million budget. And somebody asked James Gunn if this is true. And James Gunn said, not even a little bit. And I don't know if I'm quoting him properly. He might have said, not in the least bit. He said something along those lines, but he's saying that it's not true. Not even a little bit. Also, Zack Snyder had another post in regards to, you got Lois Lane and Henry Cavill as Clark Kent here. And it's funny, because if you see who Zack Snyder credited this photo to, it is credited to Clark Kent. So that's pretty awesome stuff. So this is another behind-the-scenes photo of Lois Lane and Clark Kent. Pretty awesome. He continues to post about the Snyderverse. It is not slowing down. All right, guys, so there you have it. A lot of news to go through as this sale continues to move forward. I will be covering it. I have a lot of stuff that I want to get to on my channel, so if you aren't subscribed and if you haven't hit that notification bell, you are going to miss something on my channel coming up because I'm going to have a lot of content. I promise to get a lot out here in December. I'm going to really work hard to get as much content up as I can. I plan on making December really big on YouTube and giving you guys a lot of stuff to watch and go through, including some comic reviews, some movie reviews, all kinds of stuff. All right, guys, so there you have it. What do you think about all of today's news? How was your Thanksgiving? Chime up below, and we will see you on the next video.